There's two things that are kind of just on my mind here. And the first one is because you're talking about your sales and your salespeople, and I love how you put that it's not what's signed on the paper, it's what's actually coming in, like being paid for as completed work, which makes a ton of sense. I think a lot of contractors need to hear that. Um, but there's a lot of contractors that are maybe not doing storm work, or maybe even some of the other verticals that are going to be watching
Mhm.
this. And I've got a lot of concrete coating guys that are out running bids on jobs, and they're trying to sell jobs. Um, how how do I determine if I'm going to pay my salespeople as W-2 or 1099, and what impacts does that make to my overall financial strategy?
Great. This gets to be a loaded question. I think we could talk for a long time, and I love attacking this with our HR coach at CCP because she comes at it from that HR perspective. And really, it's a topic that there's always a level of risk you take. Both options are very viable if you follow the rules behind each option. The more subjective space is when you're 1099. You have to treat them as 1099. So to stay high level here in our discussion, it's really down to if you're wanting to treat these people as part of your team in full effect, and you want to give them the training, the required trainings, and you want to just really treat them as part of your family, give them benefits, make them feel like they're part of your team, employee route's probably your route, because to do a lot of that stuff gets very gray area. Obviously, you really can't provide them benefits if they're not a W-2 employee. And so it really comes down to what is the culture you're trying to create, in my opinion, to which route you go. Now, depending on which route you go, that kind of tweaks your financial strategy around them, because obviously an employee has that additional burden to cover those benefits you're going to provide them. You cover half their taxes for them. You have those maybe additional endeavors you're pouring into them as employees that you don't want to forget about when you're creating your structure for them. So I've gone through this transition quite a few times with companies where they're paying their sales guys 1099 and they want to go over to W-2, and they want to figure out, well, what do I need to take away? And one of the tools we love to show people is a lot of that additional cost to you as an employer is direct value to them. The only people that miss out are your sales guys that are maybe cheaping the tax system and not paying their taxes correctly, or crazily deducting expenses against it, because we have strategies that allows them to take those deductions from their W-2 pay without added cost to you as the company. So my point there is that there's not as always a big of a financial impact like people think. And especially when you can sell it to your sales guys that, hey, this is maybe slight bump down in your commission percentage. We can show you exactly where you're making that up. And now you don't have to stress about, there's the intangible value of, you don't need to prepare your own taxes anymore, or do all of that accounting work for yourself as an independent contractor. We're doing that for you. And now it just is. So it's really comes down to that, what kind of culture you're wanting to create.
Yeah, and I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but there are great contractors out there doing it both ways. So
100% and
it's
completely valid,
yep,
right?
absolutely. And so I
Yeah.
don't want to like mislead anyone watching this. Like, you can win doing it one way or the other.
Yes.
What I can tell you though is what we've been talking about high level here in just your financial strategy is, if you don't truly know your numbers, it doesn't matter if you have 1099s or W-2s, you're going to be in trouble.